Brian, first off, I guess, how do you look at some of the miscues you had on special teams yesterday, particularly the muff punt? And then number two, can you explain the Taven Bryan like leverage penalty? I know I had to kind of like refresh my brain about what it even means and all that. So can you break those two down for me, please?
Yeah, obviously, we want to eliminate all the miscues. And Shane's obviously hit on that, both after the game and earlier today. The first one on the punt return, we've got to do a much better job communicating as a returner. There were several mishit punts throughout the game, and shorter punts. And anytime there's a shorter mishit punt, we got to do a great job to scream at returner to alert the corners and the other coverage players that this ball has been hit short and they need to get away from the returner so we can just make sure we secure the ball and protect the field position as best as we possibly can. So first thing is, hey, Isaiah's got to protect himself. He's got to protect the rest of our unit and make sure we're very loud with our communication. And the corners, have to do a better job of understanding on a short field. When we're in coverage, we've got to know where the returner's at. We can't be in a position where we're going to be pushed into the returner. We have to know where the returner's at. We have to drop our man when we get close to the returner. A little bit of a rookie mistake right there, and we've got to do a better job of coaching that up to make sure we don't have an issue like that impacts the game, and we got to take care of the football. From a leveraging standpoint, the leveraging rule is if you put your hand on a offensive lineman's back, you're not allowed to then jump up on top of the offensive lineman. So they don't want you to be able to jump over. The rule was created so if you jump over someone, you're allowed to jump over someone on field goal block as long as you're aligned on the line of scrimmage. But you can't jump over someone while putting your hand on their back to then leverage and leap or hurdle over them, is the intent of the rule. Certainly we were not intending to jump or leverage in any way, shape, or form. And we just have to do a much smarter job of making sure there's no gray area to where a close call can go against us, that we were not intending to jump or leverage. I think it was a very close call would be a nice way of putting it. And we got to make sure we're in position where close calls don't go against us. We've done a good job as a whole this season. We're the second least penalized special teams unit in the NFL. We've had 6 penalties against us, 2 of which have been intentional delay of games. But the last 2 weeks, we have had penalties against a field goal block team in situations where we have to be smarter. So we make sure there's no gray area that a penalty goes against us, especially ones that leads to an additional 4 points, which we can't have.
Nate?
I know any player can obviously have an off game, but just with Matt Gay, it was just surprising to see 2 misses at the distances he was at. So do you have a sense for kind of what was a little bit off for him yesterday?
Yeah, certainly it was an uncharacteristic day, and we just have to move forward with it. There was times like on the first field goal, certainly the wind was really blowing at that point in time. I think the ball ended up moving a lot late. We've got to be able to play that condition better and make that kick. There's really no excuse to it. He knows that. He's a pro, and he's capable of making that kick every single time, and we've just got to be able to execute and do that. And then, at all times, you can't allow one miss to be a second miss. You just got to stay in your routine and make sure, we can do our job throughout the game. And, unfortunately, we ended up with the second miss there. As we all know, we just have to do our job better and execute. Anytime that ball gets down on the spot, which Rico has done a great job of all year, we got to make the kick and convert all scoring opportunities.
Joel?
How has Rico Sanchez this season been from your standpoint?
He's been excellent. He's gotten better every single week, and he's been excellent over, the last 5-6 games. Has really been on his A game. And the punt coverage for us special teams wise, and his punting was certainly a bright spot of the game from a special team standpoint. And, he's been doing a great job with his placements and hang times. We've been, certainly been doing a much better job with coverage and things. And the punt unit has certainly made some improvements there that we got to keep building off of. But Rigo's done a really nice job.
James?
Kind of on a tangent, Brian, but you've known Alec Pierce for some years now, and you've known him longer than some of the people on the staff. One, what is it like to see him grow into the player he is now in the NFL? And number two, he's not an outwardly like emotional guy, but he has that competitive nature. So how have you seen that side of him throughout the years? And maybe does that get sort of overlooked because he isn't a rah-rah guy?
Yeah, we kind of was asked about Alec, in preseason media availability as well, and just kind of building off that. Have known him, coaching him at the University of Cincinnati, and had a lot of experience with him. He's just a great kid. He's really smart. He works really hard. He is reserved, so there are moments maybe you get surprised to see him be emotional or passionate, but certainly he is a passionate, hardworking player that loves the game, and it's awesome to be able to see him continue to improve and grow, and know that he is really talented. And it's good to see, good things happen to good people.
What was he like as a special teamer?
In college, he was a really good special teamer. He was, yeah, very good gunner. Anytime you can get offensive skill players who have a background playing defense, when you look at bringing in guys in college and high school. So Alec played, offense and defense in high school. So you can get guys that kind of have a receiver skill set, but know how to tackle. Those are always a plus in special teams for sure.
Last one, Nate.
With Rigo Barto, you mentioned the past 5 or 6 games have been a lot better. Is that just getting further out from the injury? Do you feel like have you noticed him sort of just kind of getting back to peak physical form, or what do you think's been the change?
Yeah, I think, maybe to start the season, maybe there was a little bit of rust that was working off. I think he looked good during preseason camp. And certainly, we did not perform well in multiple areas as a punt team to start the year. We had a couple games where we played good for 3 quarters and would have, a bad finish to the game. And that's not just on Rigo, that's also on the coverage and some mistakes that were made. But, as a whole, the punt team has gotten better and better every week, and has been really good of late. I think Rigo has certainly, performing at a really high level right now, and certainly at 100%. It was obviously a really big deal for him to come back from that injury in the way that he did. And it's great to see him back 100% and performing at such a high level.